Do you ever wonder where your gutters come from? I kind of never did, but now that I'm actually in KWM Gutterman, I gotta say it like that, I have now been thoroughly intrigued of where my gutters come from and the machines that make them. So today, we're here with KWM Gutterman, and the largest manufacturer and #1 seller of gutter machines in the USA. Now, that is, for me, nothing to sneeze at. Absolutely incredible what they're doing here, with almost all of the production being done in-house and starting over 80 years ago as just an idea, a concept. And I'm gonna let Max, my buddy Max here, kind of tell that story because he knows it far better than I do. So Max, let's start with the history. As we're standing in the assembly area here, we're gonna move into fabrication, we're gonna move into the metalworking side of things, but let's first start with the history.
Yeah, absolutely. So our company was founded by Carl W. Miner Sr. in the early 60s as a roofer contractor. And kind of as things progressed, times progressed, we were eventually manufacturing our own gutter machines by the early 1980s. And we've slowly grown to be the largest manufacturer of gutter machines in the world, and in the facility we stand in now.
And it's a really great facility. Now, starting in the early 80s was a garage, I believe, right? And now we're standing in over or around 100,000 square feet?
Yes, yes. We are absolutely just at 100,000 square feet. And as you mentioned, it started out very small, single sole person business, and roots right here in the same town that we originated in, and we've just shifted facilities and grown, and now we're standing at a 100,000 square foot facility, and things are much different, but in a very good way.
Yes, and just across the street actually was the start, if I remember you telling me correctly.
Yes, you're not even within, I believe it's about 2 miles or so. You're very, very close to where our home roots were. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit before we dive into switching scenes and the background and the fabrication and the metalworking and all that. Let's talk about what is a gutter machine? What does it actually do and how does it work?
Absolutely. So essentially, our gutter machines are roll form gutter machines, and you're taking a set of different style material. You're taking aluminum, steel, copper, and essentially you're taking it in flat form sheets and you're slowly feeding it through the machine, and the process undergoes sort of a slow process, but you're roll forming, shaping that gutter to, if you have a half round style machine, you have what we call like a K style gutter, and whatever size you may have, and that's essentially the process that undergoes.
I'm looking around and I see the way it's being assembled, and so I'm about to use a term that's probably inaffectionate, but it seems so simple the way you describe it, but looking at this, it's really not. You have certain angles in it, certain ways that things need to be kind of shifted and melded together, and I'm probably using the wrong word there. You can do it far better than I, but the way you describe the internals of these components, and you started with fish string?
Yes, so yeah, there's a lot that, in the grand scheme of things, the machines seem very simple. You're feeding material in, you're roll forming it, and you're getting a gutter on the back end. But in reality, you're undergoing, essentially the gutter is going through what you would call like a parabolic curve, where it's essentially starting low, slowly feeding up, kind of dropping back down. You're undergoing different angles that the skates are at. There's a lot of complex things, radiuses, things that really go into these machines that you don't happen to really see, you just see the end product. And as you did mention, we did start with fishing string as the way to assemble and kind of build these machines. And we've come up with new ways to really speed up that process and eliminate a lot of that, human kind of error that you may get with that.
Max, can we go take a look and start in the fab shop and see how these things are being made?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Let's do it. Proudly made in America, as you see behind us right here. Let's go take a look. Well, Max, now we've stepped into the fab area. It looks like you have welding, metal bending, laser cutting. I mean, you kind of do it all in-house for the most part, don't you?
Yes, absolutely. We do almost everything for these machines here in-house. And as you mentioned it, we have a welding facility in here. We have our bending facility in here, and also laser. And this used to, dating only maybe 3-4 years ago, this would not be here. This was actually 15 feet lower, and there was a house in this area, and this is now grown to be essentially our new facility for all of our in-house welding, bending, and saw cutting.
Can you go into a little bit of detail about why you wanted to do more in-house instead of outsourcing? I believe there's a a conversation that a lot of us had over the last few years of just realizing that the more we can do in-house, the less we have to rely on others. Because there were some lead times and sometimes even some quality control issues that lead a lot of us to go, well, it's worth the investment to buy these machines and bring everything in-house and have that control ourselves. Is that your same mindset also here?
Yeah, I would say yes. I think one of our biggest issues was the supply chain, kind of hit everyone. We noticed it tremendously when it came to material. There's not a whole lot we can do in terms of manufacturing material here. So it came down to what can we do better everywhere else. And a lot of that came down to, feasibility, what was economical, what really worked for us. And a lot of it was, yes, there is a huge investment cost, initial investment, but in the long run, we were, saving time, saving money. That I think was the biggest thing for us. And like you mentioned, was kind of the lead times. What we had experienced was what we're normally receiving in a very short amount of time was not the case anymore, and it was almost leaving us in a way handcuffed. So we had to come up with ways, for example, in an extreme environment, the world shut down, how do we keep doing what we do very well? And that answer was to bring things in-house that we normally outsource.
Now, if I may, Max, you had a lead time of a week for the longest time, right? You even had people that would come here that were storm chasers to buy a product off of your shelf and then take it with them to chase storms.
Absolutely.
And then you went through a situation that was like, oh my gosh, how do we keep up?
Yes.
So not only do you have to keep up, but you have to keep up with quality as well, which added to that lead time. So this had to be a part of this whole process also, right? To realize we got to keep the highest quality products. We got to be able to do more in the same amount of time while expanding, including our welding, including our metal bit forming, including the laser cutting. All of it really does go together, right?
Yes, absolutely. It was, like you said, we experienced very long lead times. Just, when everything sort of, if I will, went south, and we were just being hit with order after order, and it's a very, good problem to have. But with that came a little bit of some growing pains of, okay, now we really have to make sure we're efficient, we're productive, and we have to do it accurately. And I think, that was our biggest three things we kept in mind was how do we grow but reduce downtime while growing? And then when we do grow, how do we continue to become more efficient, more accurate, and really produce great parts in a timely manner?
Well, being a world leader in what you do, and certainly the number one in America in what you do, we want the world to understand that U.S. manufacturing is high quality as well, and you guys are certainly doing that. Well, Max, as I'm looking around, I see kind of automation right behind us at this laser cell, right?
Yes.
But it's also in your welding area. Automation is important to you, right?
Yes, absolutely. We kind of understood that automation was sort of a way to go, and especially in times where it's very hard to find work and we have so much of it. Very hard to find employees at the time being. So we needed to kind of find a way that we could run lights out and continue producing what we do. And that way was to incorporate automation. So we are currently now at about 3 automated welding cells, and we have our automated laser. So the laser, for the most part, unless it's at the day, runs lights out. The welding cells, usually they're so productive that we don't have to run them lights out, so they're running automated during the day and this overnight. So,
talking with you, Max, the welding cell has been moved several times since your tenure here, right? So you've noticed it in different locations. So I want to kind of ask on a personal level, you've seen a group of welders kind of been moved, and then you said to this group of welders, we're going to add automation. Now, the first thing that pops into someone who's been welding since childhood is, oh my gosh, you're taking my job. But that's not what welding does, is it? And what was it like here when you implemented it?
So I will admit there was, I think, a little bit of hesitancy, as there is anywhere with automation. It is that fear of, what happens to my job? There's a robot taking my job. But we're not that kind of company who's looking to rid employees for automation. What our goal is to implement this automation and essentially give our employees a little more responsibility, some knowledge, some learning experiences here so they can grow as we grow. And we don't have mindless workers.
You said it better than I could. We call it the 3Ds, dull, dirty, and dangerous. Let's get them back to what they love. With that being said, let's get back to some of what I love and go see the machine shop. Max, we've made it into one of my personal favorite areas because, well, we won't talk about the details of how good or bad of a machinist I was. We can say that I was at one time a machinist for a while. So the smell, the breeze, the noises, it all sounds beautiful to me. The great humming of the as you know you're making the chip in a C and a 9. So we're in the manufacturing area now with really great growth over the last few years. Can we talk about what you're manufacturing here and the overall growth as well?
Absolutely. So majority of what we do in this facility, we do all of our rollers in-house, our drive shafts, any of our other shafts we create. And then when you kind of move over to some of the more flat work here in the mill side, we're doing a lot of our, what we call skates, a lot of vertical and horizontal blocks. So this side I would say is a lot more, you know, milling, roughing, finishing, drilling, reaming, that sort of thing, tapping. We still see some of that over in, you know, the lathes, but majority of that's all a lot of rough turning and creating of those radiuses and curvatures and all the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff, I agree. Now, we started off in the first area, we talked about the overall expansion. We talked about how many square feet. We talked about the lead times of a week to, you know, you've constantly had to adapt to the incredible increase due to your quality, but also you've had to deal with that increase by investing in automation cells like the Midaco I see here, the potentials of robots and cobots being put in certain situations. We just talked about it in fabrication, but you've also invested in new machines, new technology to really keep up with all of that work as well, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. If to kind of date myself a little bit, when I started in 2013, we had a total of 4 lathes and 4 mills. We have now grown to, we're at 8 mills and we're at 12 lathes, you know, counting our bar feeders. So it's been a wild ride. We've incorporated the Midaco pallet changers. We're at 3 of those now. Those have immensely brought production, you know, through the roof for us. We've incorporated, like you said, we have robot loaders, cell loaders. We have another one on the way for our lathes. There's a lot of little things that we're incorporating here that do a lot of, you know, big end results.
On behalf of MTD and myself, congratulations on the growth. Thank you for allowing us to come in and share your story. So for the conclusion for everyone watching who doesn't already know you because you are the largest in America, but I learned something new today with Gutterman! But with that being said, how can we find out more about you online?
So you can find us at our website at kwmgutterman.com, or you can find us on Facebook. Give us a check out. We do have a newer website that's been updated, and we actually have a 3D configurator if you're looking to kind of piece together a machine as you would what kind of options you want. You can see that built right on your screen in a 3D configuration. You can chat directly with us right on that website or give us a call. We'll be happy to help you.
Perfect, Max. Well, for everyone watching, I'm now going to hand Max my microphone and go do some storm chasing because now I know where I need to buy my Gutterman products and how exactly it all works. So here you go, Max. I'm going to go storm chase now.
We're here to assist you. We'll see you later.